Carl Thomas, the iconic singer of Emotional, has captivated audiences with his silky smooth vocals. But in a shocking revelation, Carl has revealed why he had to leave the music industry, dropping a bombshell that will forever alter our perception of the R&B icon. If you're curious about this revelation, then stick around.
Sure. Right now, I'd have to say out of this freshman class, I'm really
Joining Bad Boy Records. You see, in the late 1990s, an up-and-coming Carl Thomas joined Bad Boy Records, a highly influential music label at the time, and quickly soared to success. This was the ideal situation for a rising artist, collaborating with a strong record label, having top producers available, and being recognized within the R&B elite. Thomas had a voice that could convey both vulnerability and strength, positioning him to leave a lasting impression. In 2000, he released his first album, Emotional, and very quickly, he gained widespread fame. The timing was ideal for a new R&B star to surface, and Carl effortlessly met the criteria. The first song, I Wish, struck a chord with the audience, as its emotional melody and genuine feelings provided a fitting soundtrack for those experiencing heartbreak. Thomas did not only sing about pain, he was able to evoke the emotion through his smooth yet powerful vocals, leading listeners through each and every lyric. Shortly after that, Summer Rain, another impressive song from the album, rose in popularity, confirming his status as the fresh R&B voice. With a mix of romance, sorrow, and desire, Carl Thomas had a genuine quality that resonated with R&B fans. Emotional achieved platinum status, leading Thomas to quickly revel in his success. But just as things started to gain momentum, there were indications that the situation was starting to change. Although Carl's emotional and polished performance resonated with everyone, he found that navigating the music industry, especially at Bad Boy Records, was challenging. According to the saying, the greater your success, the more difficult it is to maintain. This was particularly evident in the competitive realm of Bad Boy, where numerous artists faced challenges after their initial achievements. Carl's initial thrill of achieving a platinum-selling debut was quickly replaced by the complex challenges of the music industry. If you are familiar with the history of Bad Boy Records, you are aware that not every artist who entered the company had a successful outcome. The record label, famous for its achievements with musicians such as the notorious B.I.G. and Faith Evans, had a negative aspect that frequently made some of its artists feel excluded, lacking support, or even disregarded. While the industry kept moving forward, Carl Thomas was faced with the challenge of navigating its complexities. Emotional momentum started to decrease, not due to a decline in his talent, but because the surrounding infrastructure was changing. Bad Boy Records encountered its unique obstacles, causing several of its musicians to confront challenging situations. Puff Daddy, now Diddy, gained fame for launching artists' careers, but the label also had a reputation for difficult artist relationships and erratic career paths. Despite achieving success early on, Carl Thomas was not uncommon. Even though his first album had established him as an important figure in the R&B genre,
For those of you that really don't know, I was there in that boy's origin.
his second album did not achieve the same level of success as Emotional, and his record label's backing was not as strong as necessary. Similar to numerous artists who came before and after him, Carl was struggling with the tough truths of an industry that often shows no mercy. Contracts, changing fashions, and organizational dynamics each had a role in the obstacles that came after his first success. What happened to Carl Thomas during his time at Bad Boy Records? Why did he eventually leave? Controversies Carl faced in leaving Bad Boy Records. Well, in the music industry, achieving success can sometimes feel just as temporary as the fame that comes with it. This reality became very familiar to Carl Thomas, who made a big impression in the late 90s. However, just as rapidly as he rose to stardom, there were murmurs circulating in the background that everything was not as seamless as it seemed. The rumor has been circulating for years that Carl Thomas didn't receive the recognition he should have after Emotional became successful. Numerous fans and individuals in the industry have wondered why a talented artist with great potential suddenly vanished from the public eye. Some sources claim that the problem originated from Diddy's notorious controlling behavior towards his artists. In his role as the leader of Bad Boy Records, Diddy was recognized for his ability to oversee his artists' professional paths, frequently steering their artistic development and handling the operational aspects. Nevertheless, it appears that Carl Thomas was not pleased with this level of control. There is a rumor that Carl was unsatisfied with how things were progressing at Bad Boy, as he was producing popular songs and basking in the glory of emotional success. Tension was increasing behind the scenes. It is said that Carl desired greater authority over his music. However, Diddy, who was purportedly more dedicated to his endeavors and prominent artists under the labels such as 112 and Faith Evans, was not providing him with the desired level of attention or artistic liberty. There are people who believe that Carl may have felt ignored because Diddy seemed to focus more on the careers of other artists than his. The friction between Carl and the label increased over time, sparking rumors that Carl was ostracized for voicing his desire for greater creative control. By the middle of the 2000s, the tension between Carl and Bad Boy was undeniable. His second album, Let's Talk About It, was released in 2004, but it didn't get the same level of promotion or recognition as his first album. Fans began to question the whereabouts of Carl Thomas. Even though his first album was successful, he appeared to have disappeared from view. According to certain sources, the minimal promotion for his second album was intentional, seen as a form of subtle retribution for Carl's desire for increased control over his career. Whether it is accurate or not, one thing was clear: something was amiss. The rumors of conflict between Carl and Bad Boy didn't end just there. In the early 2000s, there was speculation that Carl Thomas, despite his platinum record, was facing financial difficulties. While Carl wasn't the initial artist on a major label to experience such challenges, his fans were surprised to find out that he wasn't wealthy, despite his popularity. Rumors circulating suggested that he, similar to previous artists, had complaints regarding his contract and the royalties he was earning. It was a common occurrence in the music industry. An artist becomes popular, but their financial status does not match their level of success. There were rumors that Carl was quietly feuding with Bad Boy due to missing royalties, and that the label's financial mismanagement contributed to his career decline. The concept of a bad boy curse, in which artists had brief success but ultimately ended up penniless, was a recurring story associated with the record label. Many people thought Carl was a victim of the curse, regardless of its actual existence. Despite his fame, chart-topping songs, and platinum record, his financial situation did not align with the success he should have been experiencing. In 2006, Carl had formally parted ways with Bad Boy, but the departure was not as straightforward as one could assume.
I wish, Summer Rain, Emotional, it's the season for it, so, we were even thinking about, my Valentine.
It was rumored that Diddy created obstacles for Carl in finding a new label, causing a messy fallout between the two. Although there is no solid proof, the timing of Carl's career decline has always raised suspicions. Carl was not the initial artist to depart Bad Boy in unfriendly circumstances, and he was definitely not the final one either. Before we delve into the other details and controversies of Carl Thomas, let's talk about Bad Boy Records and its activities. Was it only Thomas that saw its dark side? But before that, if you find this info valuable, be sure to hit that like button to support this video. Now, moving on. Bad Boy Records. In the early 1990s, hip-hop and R&B were undergoing significant transformations, driven by new sounds and emerging artists who were redefining the music industry. One of the key contributors to this evolution was Bad Boy Records, established in 1993 by Sean Puff Daddy Combs. What started as a small venture quickly grew into a cultural juggernaut, positioning Bad Boy at the forefront of East Coast hip-hop and securing its place in music history. Puff Daddy's vision for Bad Boy Records was distinct from other labels of the time. His goal was to merge street authenticity with polished production, transforming hip-hop from a genre into a global phenomenon. With his business savvy, charisma, and impeccable ear for talent, Combs became the key architect of Bad Boy's success. What set Bad Boy Records apart was his focus on creating stars, not just musicians. Combs knew that image was just as important as sound, and he made sure that Bad Boy artists embodied luxury, glamour, and larger-than-life personas. This image-conscious branding became a hallmark of the label, setting it apart in a competitive music scene. The roster at Bad Boy Records reflected Combs' ambitions. In its formative years, the label signed the notorious B.I.G., Christopher Wallace, also known as Biggie Smalls, whose storytelling and lyrical prowess quickly captured the attention of listeners. Biggie's debut album, Ready to Die, 1994, became a seminal record, weaving narratives about the rough realities of life in Brooklyn while maintaining broad appeal. Hits like Juicy and Big Papa catapulted Biggie and Bad Boy into the national spotlight, transforming both into household names. Other early signings, such as Faith Evans, Craig Mack, and Total, played pivotal roles in crafting Bad Boy's identity. Faith Evans, with her soulful voice, infused the label with an R&B sensibility, bridging the gap between hip-hop and mainstream pop music. Her vocal talent, combined with the label's sleek production style, helped broaden Bad Boy's reach, making it accessible to audiences outside of the hip-hop scene. Evans' contributions were instrumental in expanding the label's presence in the R&B market, attracting a diverse listener base. Craig Mack, though his career was short-lived compared to others, gave Bad Boy one of its first major commercial hits with Flava, In Ya Ear, in 1994. The track dominated radio airwaves and further solidified Bad Boy's reputation for producing chart-topping hits. The success of Biggie, Evans, Mack, and Total created a well-rounded catalog for Bad Boy that spanned multiple musical styles, all while staying rooted in hip-hop culture. This versatility gave Bad Boy a distinct edge in the music industry as it catered to a variety of musical tastes without losing its core identity. Puff Daddy was not just the mastermind behind the scenes. He was also one of Bad Boy's most visible stars. His willingness to be in the limelight as a producer, artist, and even actor distinguished him from other label executives. In 1997, Puff Daddy released his debut album, No Way Out, which produced hits like Can't Nobody Hold Me Down and I'll Be Missing You. The latter, a heartfelt tribute to Biggie following his tragic death earlier that year, became an anthem of loss and resilience, resonating with fans worldwide. Combs' ability to juggle multiple roles as businessman, entertainer, and producer cemented his influence in the industry. His charisma and larger-than-life persona were central to Bad Boy's flashy, high-energy ethos. He often collaborated with various artists, both within and outside of Bad Boy, extending the label's influence beyond the confines of East Coast hip-hop. His collaborations with non-hip-hop artists allowed the label to cross over into mainstream pop, solidifying its place in popular culture. Under Puff Daddy's leadership, Bad Boy Records experienced tremendous success throughout the 1990s and into the early 2000s. The label consistently churned out hits, dominating radio stations, clubs, and television. Songs like Mace's Feel So Good, 112's Peaches and Cream, and posthumous tracks from Biggie continue to define the sound of an era, marking the golden age of Bad Boy's reign. Bad Boy's influence was everywhere, not just in music, but in fashion, lifestyle, and culture. The label became synonymous with a new, more glamorous side of hip-hop, blending urban authenticity with mainstream appeal. As the 1990s drew to a close, Bad Boy Records had firmly established itself as one of the most powerful forces in the music industry, particularly in the competitive world of hip-hop. Its rivalry with Death Row Records, a West Coast powerhouse, exemplified the East Coast-West Coast divide that had come to define much of the hip-hop narrative during this period. However, despite the rivalry, Bad Boy stood out for its ability to produce not only gritty street anthems, but also polished, radio-friendly hits that appealed to a broad audience.
Yeah, actually I had a birthday party in Miami, I had a birthday party in Los Angeles, and I had 2 birthday parties here in New York, you know what I'm saying?
Controversies and the dark side of Bad Boy Records. Despite achieving great success, Bad Boy Records had its fair share of controversies. Under the flashy and attractive exterior, a more sinister story developed, which included tense relationships with artists, allegations of exploitation, and even instances of violence. As Bad Boy's artist lineup grew, internal tensions started to surface, highlighting a clear discrepancy between the label's public persona and the behind-the-scenes reality. Maybe the biggest issue surrounding Bad Boy Records was its connection, either directly or indirectly, to the notorious East Coast-West Coast feud. The feud between East Coast musicians, led by Bad Boy, and West Coast musicians, headed by Death Row Records, owned by Suge Knight, intensified in the mid-1990s, leading to violent incidents and unfortunate outcomes. The dispute between the two record companies gained significant media attention, featuring prominent artists such as the notorious B.I.G. and Death Row's Tupac Shakur as key players in the rivalry. The musical feud quickly escalated into a personal conflict as public insults, diss tracks, and media attention continued to stoke the flames. The competition hit its most devastating point with the demise of Tupac Shakur in 1996 and the notorious B.I.G. in 1997. Both cases are still unresolved, and although there is no conclusive evidence connecting Bad Boy or Death Row to the demise, the conflict has brought a dark cloud over both record labels. Losing Biggie was especially devastating for Bad Boy Records. The label not only lost its main artist, but also had its reputation damaged by the violent way he died. Puff Daddy, who was a friend of Biggie, was closely scrutinized by the media, as people questioned if the feud with Death Row had contributed to Biggie's death. For years, Bad Boy was overshadowed by a cloud of suspicion, which, even if baseless, became a significant part of the label's reputation. In addition to the violence and public disputes, Bad Boy Records also received substantial backlash for how they treated their artists. Several ex-Bad Boy artists have come forward to discuss their negative experiences with the label, alleging exploitation or mismanagement. A common thread in these accusations is the allegation that Puff Daddy put his professional advancement and financial gain ahead of the welfare of his artists. A standout instance is the LOX, a rap trio who were under Bad Boy's label in the late 1990s. Despite finding commercial success with songs such as Money, Power, and Respect, the group grew more and more dissatisfied with their agreement. They alleged that Puff Daddy unfairly took a large portion of their earnings and restricted their creative control. The LOX's complaints grew so strong that they openly advocated for their departure from Bad Boy, notably wearing Free the LOX shirts during public appearances. Their conflict with the record label reached its peak in a fiery public dispute, and despite eventually being freed from their agreement, the incident tarnished Bad Boy's image permanently. Similar complaints about their treatment by the label have also been expressed by other artists such as Mase and Shine. Mase, formerly one of Bad Boy's most successful artists, departed from the label during the peak of his career, attributing his decision to personal and spiritual motivations. Years down the line, he would suggest there were greater underlying problems, insinuating that his exit was partly due to dissatisfaction with Puff Daddy's management of the record label. Shine, who had his career ended by a 1999 nightclub shooting that resulted in his incarceration, also had a complex connection with the record label. While he was initially faithful to Puff Daddy, Shine later voiced disappointment in the way the label managed his legal issues and career after being released from prison. In 1999, Bad Boy faced one of its most disturbing incidents when Puff Daddy and Shine were implicated in a nightclub shooting in New York City.
And there's actually another one called Happy Hour. You know what I mean? So I'm just going to allow the people to eat from which plate they want to eat.
The event took place at Club New York, while spending a night out with Puff Daddy's girlfriend at the time, Jennifer Lopez. Gunshots rang out within the club, resulting in harm to the customers. Shine was taken into custody and later found guilty of taking someone's life in assault, spending close to 10 years behind bars for his involvement in the event. Puff Daddy was additionally accused in relation to the shooting, being charged with bribery and possessing weapons. His highly publicized trial mesmerized the media as the potential of one of the top moguls in hip-hop facing prison time became a prominent concern. In the end, Puff Daddy was cleared of all accusations, but the episode continued to harm the image of Bad Boy Records. It also put a strain on the relationship between Puff Daddy and Shine, as the latter felt neglected by the label while serving time in jail. As the 2000s continued, numerous original stars of Bad Boy either departed from the label or experienced their careers decline. This decrease was in part caused by the issues that had troubled the brand and also by the shifting environment of the music business. Faith Evans, 112, and Mace, who were key to Bad Boy's success, left the label due to contract disagreements and artistic conflicts. The continuous rotation of talent, along with an increasing belief that Puff Daddy prioritized his career over developing new artists, resulted in a decrease in Bad Boy's impact. Despite releasing music continuously, the label found it challenging to achieve the same level of commercial success as it did in its early years. More recent artists like Danity Kane and Day 26 found some level of success on the reality TV show Making the Band, but they were unable to reach the same legendary status as Bad Boy's earlier lineup. Internal disagreements within these factions continued to weaken their lifespan, resulting in the disbandment of both Danity Kane and Day 26, following short-lived moments of fame. But how did Carl manage to get into Bad Boy Records? How did he get noticed? Early years. Carl Thomas, who was born in Aurora, Illinois on June 15, 1972, had a passion for music since he was young. Growing up in a household that highly esteemed music, Carl discovered his love at a young age, perfecting his talents in the church choir and showcasing them at nearby talent competitions. These early years played a vital role in molding his skills and laying the foundation for a successful career in R&B. Carl Thomas was more than just a singer with aspirations. He possessed the drive and hard work to achieve his goals. Having a strong musical foundation from singing in the church as a child, Carl decided not to be satisfied with staying in his comfort zone. He had grander ambitions and was resolute to leave his mark in the music world. The road to success was challenging, and Carl had to work hard and endure struggles, just like many who came before him. With his smooth singing and undeniable skills, he relocated to New York City, a famous location for either fulfilling or shattering aspirations. In the vibrant music scene of New York City, Carl started working hard at open mic nights, playing at nearby shows, and connecting with other musicians. This was when Carl began to establish a reputation for himself. His hard work was recognized. It turned out that Carl eventually gained the attention of none other than Sean Diddy Combs. During that period, Diddy was a dominant force in the music scene, known as the leader of the hip-hop and R&B genres. His label, Bad Boy Records, was thriving thanks to artists such as the Notorious B.I.G., Faith Evans, and 112. And Diddy was constantly seeking out new talent. Carl Thomas was a perfect match, thanks to his emotional lyrics and heartwarming singing voice. Diddy noticed something unique in Carl, and soon after, Carl Thomas was signed by Bad Boy Records. Becoming part of one of the top labels in the industry, known for consistently creating successful songs, was a dream come true for Carl. During the early 2000s, there was a flourishing period for R&B and hip-hop music, and Carl found himself immersed in the scene. Sadly also, his personal life was not as good as one could imagine. Carl Thomas's personal scandals and controversies. The scandal in the mid-2000s shocked a lot of people, especially those who were fans of Carl Thomas, an R&B singer. Rumors started spreading about a strange gossip that Carl had fathered a child with a homeless woman. the tale rapidly circulated, becoming a subject of discussion among his followers and professionals in the field. The woman in question stated that Carl was the sole man she had been intimate with during that period. She claimed that she became pregnant from the only person she had been intimate with, stating that Carl started legal action, not herself, and that she never requested money or child support from him. She explained that he did it in order to get the DNA test. She claimed that the courts ultimately verified his fatherhood. The scandal crashed into Carl's career with the force of a tidal wave. Despite never addressing the rumors publicly, the story continued to circulate in gossip columns for many years. There were rumors that Carl tried to assist the woman with money following the event, while others said he refuted the whole situation. Whether the rumors proved to be accurate or not, they still inflicted considerable harm on Carl's reputation. There was an increasing curiosity among the public about his personal life, with inquiries about his relationships coming to light, especially since Carl had always maintained a discreet attitude towards his private matters. However, Carl was not only dealing with the paternity allegations controversy during that time. During the mid-2000s, the singer was facing challenges in his career while dealing with issues at Bad Boy Records. Rumors suggested that there were high tensions backstage, as Carl was said to be in conflict with label executives regarding creative control. It appeared that both the scandal and career problems were coming together at the same time. In addition to the professional drama, Carl had to deal with a personal tragedy that would deeply affect him. Just as his career started to take off in the early 2000s, Carl experienced a devastating blow when his brother was fired and he passed on in a drive-by. Carl was deeply shaken by this crushing defeat. Over the years, Carl has openly discussed in numerous interviews how his outlook on life was changed by his brother's death. The tragedy prompted him to withdraw from the spotlight, leaving the music industry to cope with his sorrow. This was more than just a brief pause for emotional recovery. It was a complete withdrawal from the industry. While he was gone, rumors about Carl circulated quietly in the music industry. Some people suggested he was ostracized by the industry for trying to depart Bad Boy Records, while others thought it was just a string of bad luck. It was undeniable. Carl's professional life had plummeted, and he was not at the expected point in his career. Carl's challenges at Bad Boy extended beyond his disagreements in creativity with Diddy. There were also whispers of conflict between Carl and certain producers and managers. Carl, who is known for his desire to maintain the soulful and authentic quality of his music, is said to have had disagreements with producers who were advocating for a more commercial sound. Industry experts say Carl wasn't willing to pursue popular hits that didn't reflect his musical origins. This artistic power struggle caused delays in the release of new music because Carl did not want to give up on his creative vision. Despite fans wanting more from the R&B star, Carl found himself torn between staying authentic and meeting industry demands. Next, in the year 2021, the R&B community experienced another devastating loss with the passing of Black Rob, who was both a close friend of Carl and a former label mate from Bad Boy. The loss had a profound impact on Carl, leading him to share his sorrow on Instagram. In a sincere message, Carl grieved the loss of his friend while also criticizing the music industry for its treatment of artists. He didn't hesitate to criticize the industry for frequently neglecting its artists after their fame diminished. Carl highlighted the fact that numerous artists are exploited for their skills and then discarded once they are no longer making money. His words struck a chord with numerous individuals as they shed light on the less positive aspects of the music industry that Carl had personally encountered. Carl felt strong emotions when Black Rob died because it brought back memories of the challenges he had experienced in his profession. It was an additional source of sorrow that added to his experiences of success, failure, and personal misfortune. The difficulties Carl faced over the years had a significant impact on him, but he continued to be devoted to his work despite feeling rejected by the industry. At this stage in his life, Carl Thomas had gone through both extreme peaks and extreme valleys. From the tremendous success of his first album, Emotional, to the chaos at Bad Boy Records, the speculation surrounding his paternity, and the personal tragedies that influenced his life. Carl had endured a greater amount of challenges than the average person. However, even with everything considered, Carl's music continues to resonate with followers who appreciate the genuineness and emotional intensity he infuses into his creations. His voice, formerly a regular presence on R&B radio stations, continues to be cherished by fans of his artistry. Ever wondered where he is now, or what he is doing? Current activities. While Carl Thomas may not be as popular in R&B music as he used to be, he has not completely disappeared from the spotlight, not even close. Despite changes in the music industry towards newer artists and sounds, Carl Thomas has stayed loyal to his original style, still creating music and entertaining his fans. Contrary to numerous artists who lose their spark or disappear after their first taste of success, Carl has managed to sustain a presence, albeit not in the mainstream limelight. Although he is not performing at huge arenas, Carl has carved out a special place for himself by playing at smaller venues and participating in R&B nostalgia tours. These occasions are ideal for the singer known for his emotional ballads and sincere lyrics. These tours are a nostalgic trip for fans of 90s and early 2000 R&B, bringing back memories of when Carl's velvety voice ruled the radio. Carl's style is better suited to smaller, more intimate settings, where he can connect more personally with his audience, who have been following him since his emotional debut in 2000. While Carl may not be a gossip column sensation or trending on social media, he has not vanished from the music studio scene. His 2011 album, Conquer, did not make a big impact on the charts and was somewhat overlooked by critics. However, for his loyal fan base, it served as a reminder of his original talent that put him on the map in the R&B genre. The album displayed Carl's ongoing dedication to his art, blending his classic style with contemporary influences. Despite failing to receive widespread acclaim, Carl remained unfazed, demonstrating that his passion for music is not reliant on fame or chart-topping success. Carl has always been somewhat mysterious, particularly in comparison to other artists from his time. While others from his generation have either tried to stay current or vanished completely, Carl has chosen a different path. At 52 years old, Carl has a net worth of approximately 1 million naira and appears happy to live life according to his desires. His life lacks the glitz and glamour usually linked to fame. There are no extravagant groups of people accompanying someone, no eye-catching social media tricks to remain significant in a world controlled by influencers and viral content. Instead of that, Carl devotes his attention to his two main priorities: his music and remaining authentic to himself. Music has always been about passion rather than fame for Carl. His loyal core group of fans most likely remains dedicated due to his authenticity. He no longer seeks wealth or fame, which is something his followers appreciate. In a field characterized by continuous change and the need to remain current, Carl's consistent hard work is a breath of fresh air. He is not trying to be someone different or conform to the expectations of today's music industry. In a society that frequently pressures artists to sacrifice their principles or follow passing fads, Carl Thomas has created a niche for himself where he can pursue his passion without the expectation of becoming a sensation. While his career may not be as successful as before, Carl appears to be content with the current situation. By remaining true to his origins, he has also maintained a strong connection to the people who are most important to him, his supporters. No matter the challenges he has experienced in his career or personal life, Carl's voice never loses its timeless quality. His shows, whether at an intimate setting or on a trip down memory lane, continue to elicit the same emotions they did when he initially emerged in the spotlight. Carl Thomas' essence, characterized by his smooth, emotive voice and soulful delivery, remains unchanged. Although he is no longer the R&B superstar at the top of the charts, Carl Thomas is still remembered. He represents staying power in an industry that often values novelty instead of proven success. Music remains a strong passion for Carl, and as long as there is a platform for him to showcase his talent, he will keep sharing it with the world on his terms. So what do you think about Carl Thomas revelations? Let us know in the comments. If you want more interesting revelations, be sure to like, subscribe, and watch the next video shown on your screen. See you there.